Good morning, class 8. Welcome back again. And we have to continue with the lesson, The World Without Borders, Globalization and its Significance. So in the first part, we had discussed what is globalization and how it kind of affects and how it started. Not that it just started in this century, but previously also many people used to go from one part of the world to the other part of the world. But globalization, and they used to have these trade relationships with each other, but that was in a very small scale. But now today, in last 40 to 50 years, we have seen after the internet and the computer has come and transportation has improved so much. We see that people from all over the world are interconnected to each other. Now, we had also discussed the industrial, Europe, and how people were taken to, from example, even India were taken to different colonies around the world, and then they settled there. So we also read about the misery that they had and the exploitation of these workers and all. Okay, now we come to another heading, which says we are the world, opportunities and challenges ahead. All right. In this paragraph, it tells you that we talk about our country, India, and we tell you that it was in the year 2000 that in India, as you know, has a lot of people who can speak fluent English. All right, because we have these schools and our syllabus is English friendly. All right, so English is one of the languages which has helped in the process of globalization, because you need to communicate first of all with people, only then would you be able to understand. So in the year 2000, many of the American companies, they started coming to India, and they started hiring the English speaking Indian students, and they started working in call centers. All right, now many companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, they also started coming to our country. They started moving towards our country. All right, before that, I think we had Rasika, we had Fruity, we had certain companies which were Indian, and now these American companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and today we have so many brands, they started coming to India. Now we have these brand names of cars. Even today you see an Ambassador, but way back then we only had an Ambassador and a Fiat. Now we have almost forgotten about an Ambassador and a Fiat which were manufactured in India. Now these private companies, what they've started doing is they've started production in a mass scale. Mass scale means in a very large scale. They started producing things, and they started mushrooming. Mushrooming means they've started spreading. All over the country. But what has that led to? So many of us have got the employment because these private industries have mushroomed all over India. You go to any town, you go to any city, you find jobs there. Why? Because there is a certain industry, there is a certain factory, there is a certain setup in which you get these jobs. So thousands of Indian people have been employed, and that's how the Indian middle class, it survives on these industries. Now, when we talk about globalization, once again I will tell you the advantages, although we had discussed it previously. So after globalization, there was a reduction in the prices. Okay, for example, there is this pen. Now, how do you think that after globalization the cost of this pen reduced? It reduced because there were so many other companies which were producing the same kind of a goods, same kind of a thing, and then they have to compete each other. Then they have to, there is a competition among all those 10 companies who are producing the same thing. Now, when there is competition, who benefits? The consumer. We are the consumer. Consumers are the people who consume, who use that thing. So we are the ones who are using that thing, and what happens is all those companies have to lower their profits. Otherwise, if there is only one company which is producing this pen, then it will be costly because it has got no competition. It has got, why should it produce this pen? Everybody has to buy from them. Okay, now 10 different companies or 100 different companies are producing it, so their marketing strategy will start to differ. Okay, so reduction of prices and quality has also been improved, because why would a consumer means people who buy a thing which is third class? Why will we not buy something of which the price is also less and the quality is also good? All right, so globalization has helped in the reduction of prices. It has ensured improved quality of goods and offered a wide range of choices. Now, we don't have to buy just this. Maybe when I was growing up, we had a pen called as Reynolds. Only one or two brand names were there. But now when you go to the market, you have a wide choice. You can pick up whatever color, quality, smoothness, and there are so many things you can choose from. Okay, so these are the three things that globalization has helped: reduction of prices, improved in the quality of goods, and the range of choices for the consumers is quite a bit. Okay, but as we say, everything has a cost. Globalization also has a cost. It also has a negative influence. It has a negative influence on many things if we start thinking about it. First of all these big capitalistic industries, all these big industries, can I compete with them? If I want to open a company and I don't have as much money, so can I have a competition with them? No, I can't. So what has happened, the people who used to make, for example, in India, the small scale industries would mean, for example, the many people used to make cotton clothes. Many people used to make cotton saris, silk saris. Okay, the handloom industries, it has been almost destroyed. Why? Because now we have machine made saris, machine made cotton saris, silk saris, synthetic saris. Saris just an example. Okay, so embroidery also done on those things is machine made. Earlier people used to do the embroidery is, हम हिंदी में उसको कढ़ाई बोलते हैं, ठीक है. So women all around the country, or even men, you were skilled laborers, and they knew how to make beautiful patterns. But now, because we are getting that at a very cheap cost, because the factory is producing it and the factory is taking less help of the laborers but more help of the technology and the machinery, so we get something which is beautiful, which is not that expensive, and which sometimes is even more durable. So we have stopped buying from the handloom people, from the kind of people who used to get employment, the poor people, the weavers and the artisans. All right, so see how many of us use pottery, how many of us use the matka to store water. We have these steel utensils. So the potters, the people who were a part of the handloom industry, so their jobs have gone. So this is one disadvantage of globalization, that the industry which was there for the common people, it has been destroyed. Okay, now this is just one dark side. There are other dark sides also. Now these big multinationals, what they do is, they don't work only in one country, they work all around the world. So they know that, okay, if there is, suppose an American company or a German company or any other company from the developed nation, every company, what is the objective? The objective is to earn as much profit. That is the objective of every company, every business. All right, so what they do is, they know the whole world. They know that, okay, in Bangladesh or in Sri Lanka or in parts of India or in China, the labor cost will be very less. So they stop employing the people of their own country, and they go to these countries where the labor is cheap. All right, for example, you will find in many of the clothes and many of the things, you will find made in China, made in Bangladesh, made in Sri Lanka, made in India. India has still developed so much. Okay, and when you see the working conditions of the labor that these multinational industries provide to these labor, it is very poor. Mostly women and children are employed. Children should not be working, they should be going to schools, but women and children are employed in these third world countries, and the kind of working hours are too much. All right, and they work for long hours. There is no there's no proper light, and there is no proper ventilation. All right, they are paid minimum for their labor. The kind of money that you would pay, these big industries would pay in their own country, they don't even bother to pay them at a decent cost according to their country. All right, violation of labor laws is done, International Labor Organization, child labor is done. Okay, which reduces the cost of production for these companies. These companies are benefited. Okay, and some local people who don't have any other work, they would work because they don't have, but they don't even realize that they are being exploited, that they should be getting more money for the kind of labor, for the kind of hard work that they are putting it. And what happens to the society when these women and children are working so hard in such a bad atmosphere? All right, without light, without ventilation, they are cramped. So in a way it changes their society. All right, in a way the children don't go to school. So what happens? A huge circle of, again, poverty and crime increases in the long term. All right, now another thing that globalization has led to is there's a word, consumerism. Okay, who is a consumer? Consumer is a person who consumes, who uses. For example, this is my tea. I'm consuming it. Consuming it means I'm having it. So I am a consumer of the tea. All right, I am using this mobile, the cover of this mobile. So I am a consumer for the cover of this mobile. All right, so consumers are the people who buy things. All right, now what has become a trend? As human beings these days, we are not satisfied with one thing. If you speak with your grandparents or even your parents, you would realize that they were happy with less things. We are not happy with less things. We want to keep buying and buying. A festival will come, that's a reason to buy. All right, then a birthday party, you have a birthday, that's a reason to buy. Then you have maybe you are getting bored, so you need to buy. So what has this led to? This has led to an environment where people keep on buying things at all times. And what happens is the environment is being degraded. The kind of clothes that I'm wearing. So this green thing is not natural. This green color is not natural. It has been dyed. And when it has been dyed का मतलब क्या होता है? डाई करना, है ना? डाई करना, उसको कलर करना, ठीक है? It has been dyed. Now it's at the cost of the environment. When the textile industry produces so much of cloth for all around the world. So the countries who are producing these cloth, if you look at the soil condition, nothing grows on those soils where these, for example, in South India, there is a place which is near Coimbatore, which is the Manchester of, the textile industries. All the branded clothes that you see, it could be Nike, it could be your Crocodile, it could be Puma, it could be all kinds of branded things are made there. Okay, only the label is written as if it is made in some other country. Okay, from here it is exported, it is imported, both the things are done. But you cannot grow a single thing there. The exact name of that place is Tirupur. It is near Coimbatore. You can't grow anything. You can't dig a well and use the water, because the water has become contaminated due to the chemicals that we use to bleach these cotton and silk clothes. All right, we need chemicals to color these clothes, and you can't drink water. So just imagine the whole town has become a contaminated place. All right, so that's what we have done. And I was explaining the word consumerism. So see, if all human beings are buying at such a high pace, and how do these companies attract us? They give us discounts, they give us a beautiful advertisement, and we want to buy. We get enticed by the beautiful colors and patterns, and this is the new fashion. They have these fashion, they models work for them, and then we copy the models. We have these new Salman Khan is wearing this, and this actress is wearing this, so we also get attracted. Okay, I also want this. Okay, and then we keep on buying things. This is called as consumerism. Like a maddening speed of buying things is called as consumerism, and it is the global environment will be paying a huge cost of it. I will tell you in the next paragraph how this is related to the climate change, to the pollution levels that are increasing. All right, and now what do they use? They use these places like these malls. Okay, they use places like these malls to entice us. Everything is at a very high cost, and still we go and buy. So who is getting the profit? These big industries are getting the profit at the cost of our money, which goes to them, and at a cost of the environment, which is getting degraded. All right, now I will give you a few examples of how our natural, in the previous classes you have read about the natural resources. All right, and the resources which can be regenerated. For example, the solar energy, for example, the wind energy. These are the resources which we can regenerate. But there are some resources like the coal and the petroleum which cannot be regenerated. So we are using it at a maddening cost, at a maddening speed. And by using coal and by using petroleum, we are increasing the pollution in the whole world. So these gases get emitted, and which what it does to the ozone layer. Okay, holes are being created in the ozone layer. Okay, now if we don't want to use coal and petrol, then we started looking towards nuclear energy. But nuclear energy in itself is a very dangerous thing, and we have seen two examples. One in Ukraine, when their nuclear power energy plant started leaking, and one was in Japan, Fukushima. Okay, so you saw the result of the disastrous effect of these nuclear plants when they started leaking. Okay, and it was not only the human beings who came into into the catastrophic thing, but it was the marine life. Marine life is the sea life. The fishes started dying. If they did not die, then it would be exposed to the radiation of the nuclear power plant, and then those fishes would be caught by the fishermen. They would go to the fish market, and then somebody who is not even close, who does not even live near Japan or in and around Japan, it lives in some other part of the world, those fishes are sent there to be sold, and people eat it in fine restaurants, they eat it in fine hotels, thinking that, oh, Japan is so far, how does it affect us? But then they are eating the same fish which was exposed to the radiation, and then they fall ill. So it's a whole cycle. We can't be mean and think that we are being mean and we won't be affected. They let us make a nuclear power plant in underdeveloped nation. and we will use the energy. But what if that nuclear power plant explodes? The repercussions will be felt all across the world. All right. Now, I also okay told you about. Now we will discuss about the other effects of globalization. For example, I told you these companies, they earn so much of money. They keep on earning because they go to these poor countries and they have the labor which they find at a very cheap cost. All right, they find the labor at a very cheap cost. So a cycle of hunger, a cycle of poverty, a cycle of disease, a cycle of epidemics is caused by one thing, which is the globalization. On the one hand is generating job opportunities, but on the other hand it is also exploiting the poor, and the cycle is becoming bigger and bigger every passing day. Hunger, poverty, social inequality is on the rise in the past 2 decades. One decade consists of 10 years. So for the past 20 years, this is increasing. All right. Now, the rich countries are becoming richer and the poor countries are becoming poorer. Okay. Now, this is one aspect of it. All right. This is just one aspect of it, of globalization, of industrialization, of the rise of jobs and everything. There is another aspect which we are all aware of, that is terror and protest. Okay, we live in a world where we are being intimidated by other people. Okay, we are intimidated by certain groups all living all around the world. Okay, now United Nations was formed so that it would maintain peace and order and security all over the world. All right, it is trying to make the world a more secure way, a secure place to live in. But then there are certain non-state actors. Non-state actors would mean people who don't have a title or an organization which is not known, and what they do is and maybe they don't even belong to your country, but what they do is they spread terror all across the world. All right, they are called as non-state actors. Okay, and they are being funded by a network. They are being funded not by a group which lives in your country, but from a network which all these people have formed. And how have they formed the network? It is so easy. You take the help of internet. Okay, you are connected with all kinds of people, all kinds of good people and all kinds of bad people. All right, so what am I talking about? For example, I'll give you an example of 9/11. 9/11 happened in America. The Twin Towers were exploded, and exploded with the help of not a what do you call, not a gun, not a bomb, nothing, but two planes were hijacked by the Al-Qaeda, and they dashed those planes into the twin towers. Twin towers were the highest buildings the world had, the highest, and they crashed into it. The whole tower came tumbling down, and so many thousands of lives were lost in moments. All right, this happened in New York on 11th of September 2001. This terror attack is also known as 9/11 attack, was a significant since it showed the ability of a terror group. How did this terror group become so able in doing this? Because everything today is connected through the internet, through the so many things that we have today. And do you think that New York is not a place which is not well protected? It is protected, but still, what is the message that these terrorists sent all across the world? That we can get you anywhere and at any time. All right. The American government identified Al-Qaeda as the chief conspirator behind the crime. Now, the American government identified that Al Qaeda was behind it. So, these are the non state actors. And why do they do this? Okay, why do they do this? Because they have a ideology of their own. They think that this is how life should be, this is how people should behave, this is how a culture should be, this is how everything should be. And they don't seem to agree with different kind of people. They don't seem to agree with anything which is not similar to their own culture, all right, so that, or their religion for that matter, all right. And these are thoughtless acts of violence against, which originate, why? Because people think that we can disagree with your way of life, we don't like your way of life, so they become violent, all right. Okay, and now we spoke about how women and children have to work so hard in such inhumane conditions. We spoke about the terrorist organizations all around the world. Then now we can also speak about the worst part of globalization. One of the worst thing is cybercrime. Okay, now you have a credit card and you use it, and you by mistake you put a link somewhere, okay, and your whole money which you have earned with so much of hard work, it's gone in minutes, all right. And that is called as cybercrime. Now cybercrime, this is one example of a cybercrime. For example, these days yesterday the government said that don't use the Zoom app, all right, because the Zoom app will give all your details to which country? To China. All right. Facebook, although we all are there, but now it has been revealed, don't put your picture, don't put your location, all right, because people who are criminals are looking for an opportunity to sneak into your private lives, all right. Now your credit cards, debit cards, your hard-earned money just goes away just like that, okay. So that's the cybercrime that we have seen the initial rise in it. Okay, positives, we will again talk about positive. We have gained a lot from globalization. For example, we have allowed capital, labor, knowledge, culture to cross geographical boundaries, and that's a good thing. We are no longer limited in our in a framework, in our view. We don't look at the world just in the straight line. We can appreciate the culture of the Spanish people, the culture of the people from UK, from Australia, from the tribal people who are living all around the world. So we enjoy and we have intermingled, and we care about people not only from our country but from other parts of the world, other parts of the geographical boundaries. All right, but at the end I would want to say that globalization has to be seen, has to be tackled in a very, very carefully, because one thing that is happening with globalization is terrorism is on the rise. Your environment is getting degraded. You know that the glaciers are melting at a tremendous speed. At the speed, if the glaciers melt, the rivers will dry. If the rivers will dry, the huge land masses will have no water for agriculture. If there's no agriculture, what are you going to eat? All right. So the whole thing is interconnected. And when today we are in this lockdown, why are we in this lockdown? Because one thing generated in one part of the world, it is spread because of globalization, it has spread to all parts of the world, and we are all under lockdown. So we're not talking about just coronavirus, we're talking about any kind of disease can spread to any part of the world, because we all travel to different parts of the world. And lastly, I would say that of course we cannot live in our own countries, we cannot separately live in our own countries. We all have to be dependent on each other. For example, during this lockdown, the food chain has been disrupted. Now there are many people in the European countries who are not getting their necessary, the basic needs of life. It is food, it is medicine, it is, forget about other things. They are not getting, because there are other countries who produce food, there are other countries who produce medicine, and I'm very proud that our country has sent medicines and to many parts of the world. But we all have to be, as a country, we all have to think that we need to have all these things in our own land, and we need to have it in our own land, but we don't have to fall into the trap of consumerism, that we keep on buying, and we end up, destroying our environment, destroying our forests, destroying our rivers, destroying our fields, destroying our wildlife. We can't be doing that. And for all that, one thing which is which has a impact on it is the population explosion all around the world, especially in our country as well. If the population is less, we have plenty to eat, we have plenty to share. But if the population in your own country is so much, then how much can we share? How good we can be when we don't get anything. All right, so on that thought, we end this lesson, and I want you to write a note on cybercrime, climate change, capital, poverty. Okay, cybercrime, we all know. Climate change also, I gave you a good example of it. And you need to write at least a paragraph, and you need to write the key points, the key words. Capital means money, okay, and poverty means garibi. All right, how all these are interrelated to globalization. Then you will do these questions. Name a nuclear disaster that caused terrible loss of life and damage to environment. Name any two crops that were originally not native to the Indian subcontinent, that I taught you yesterday. In which ways do the modern terrorist organizations threaten international peace? Give an example. I gave you that example. What are the advantages of having interconnected markets? Cite any 3 products available to you which are not produced in India. All right, think about the things which India does not produce but which you get from outside. And we will also do this one question. Discuss any 3 challenges that globalization has not been able to address properly in the 21st century. What do you mean by this question? You have to give 3 challenges that globalization is not able to tackle. Globalization उसको डील नहीं कर पा रहा है. ठीक है, एक एग्जाम्पल दे देती हूँ, एनवायरनमेंट का ही है. और क्या नहीं टैकल कर पा रहा है? टेररिज्म को भी टैकल नहीं कर पा रहा है. और क्या नहीं टैकल कर पा रहा है? पॉवर्टी. सारे के सारे रिच हैं क्या? सारे सबको खाना मिल रहा है? तो हाउ now you just can't write these 3 things. You have to discuss these 3 things and make your answer. Discuss any 3 challenges that globalization has not been able to address properly in the 21st century. So think about these questions. They are very relevant to our times, and we need to change the way we live. And I think the so many days that we have been under this lockdown, we really need to think that where we are going and how we are going. And if we are going to that place, is it the right place at all? Okay, so all these things should make you realize what we human race is up to. Okay, that finishes your this lesson. Thank you, and I want this to be done in your fair notebook. Start making a fair notebook, and I will be dealing with other subjects very soon. Okay.